Hi everyone, hope you are well. This week we are continuing the theme Faith Takes Action as we look at the life and faith of Abraham. Today we are looking at what doubt can do to faith. Now let's look at what the Bible says about doubt. Reading James 1 verse 6 to 8 from the New King James Version, it says, "But let him ask in faith with no doubting. For he who doubts is like a wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways." Now, doubt is a human weakness, and sometimes we may doubt. Sometimes we may perhaps doubt our friends, thinking, can we trust them? Can we rely on them? We may perhaps doubt our own abilities. For example, we may know that we are so good at something and are confident doing it at home, but if someone was to ask us to do it in front of other people, we may actually start to think, oh my gosh, can I actually do it in front of other people? Am I actually as good as I think I am? So yeah, we may sometimes doubt our own abilities and doubt ourselves. And I think what it says in James is actually spot on, because I think that when I start to doubt something or even doubt myself, I actually feel like I'm being tossed about by a wave. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like I do this motion of, oh my gosh, is that true? Do I believe that? I don't know. Can I do that? I literally feel like I do that motion. Is it just me? Maybe. Anyway, let's look at Abraham's life. His journey and story is amazing. He is known as one of the heroes of faith of the Bible. As we read in last week's lesson, Genesis 12 verse 1 to 4 tells us that God called Abraham to leave his country, family, and home to go to an unknown destination. And God gave Abraham a set of promises along with that. So let's just remind ourselves what those promises were. So God said, I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Now I'm also going to read Hebrews 11 verse 8 from the Message Bible, which says, by an act of faith, Abraham said yes to God's call to travel to an unknown place that would become his home. When he left, he had no idea where he was going. Now, Abraham could have doubted God there. He could have thought, you know what, those promises sound a bit too good to be true. It's a bit scary to leave everything behind based on what you've said to me, Lord, so I'm just going to stay put. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if Abraham said no to God here, right at the beginning? If he said no, starting from the end of chapter 11, his story would have been, so there was a man who had a few sons. One of them was called Abram. God called Abram to leave his family, etc., gave him a list of promises, but Abram said no. The end. Can you imagine what a dry story that would be? Now, let's look at another key moment in Abraham's life. Remember that God had made a covenant with Abraham in which he promised him land as well as offspring as numerous as the stars in the sky, and that through Abraham's descendants all the nations of the earth would be blessed. God promised to redeem the people of the earth through Abraham's family. The problem was that Abraham and Sarah didn't have any children. Sarah was barren and was well past the age of being able to conceive. So along the way, Abraham did a few things that showed he felt uncertain about whether God would fulfill those promises. So at one point, it seemed he tried to help God's plan along, would you say? By also marrying Sarah's maid and having a son with her. But God repeatedly stated that Abraham and Sarah would have a child of their own, named Isaac. God fulfilled this promise 25 years after he first made it to Abraham. So from all this, we need to remember to believe that God can do the impossible and that nothing is too hard for him. We need to believe in God's power and promises without wavering. We need to remember that God's timing is perfect, even if to us it could seem like a lifetime of waiting, like I'm sure it felt to Abraham. But we need to hold on to the promises God has given us and keep reminding ourselves of them. So I now have some questions I'd like you to answer following this lesson. So click on the link in the description box below, complete and submit your answers. Thank you.